Welcome to the ITeachBlogging.com blogcast. Your host, Renee Groskreutz, talks blog all day long and shares it all. No secrets here to help you become a successful blogger. Listen at the end of today's blogcast on how to get your free PDF of Renee's booklet, Tips on Blogging for Business. Now, here's Renee.
Hi, this is Renee, and this is podcast number 8. In this episode, we will recap a tip from the last podcast. A quick SEO tip, and then we are going to get down to it with conversation about how to get a blog done. A day in my life as a blogger. Here's my tip from the last podcast, number 7. Are you using a blogging calendar? I am using a WordPress plugin called Edit Flow, and it is free. It is a great tool for planning and scheduling your blog. So my tip from the last podcast is create a workflow process for your blog. Even if you are the sole writer, editor, chief operator of your blog, it is still a good idea to start now in figuring out your workflow. Having a workflow now will not only help you now and help you be more organized, but it will help you later as you bring on more team members. So whatever you do, just keep blogging and planning your blog. Here's my SEO tip for the day. Make sure that you are using an SEO plugin for your WordPress blog. There are many great choices out there, such as the Yoast plugin or the all-in-one SEO pack. You can make your own choice, but these plugins will provide you with an easy way to update your metadata for your blog post that is quite helpful. Depending upon which SEO plugin that you use, it will also help you with keyword density as well. I personally am using the Yoast plugin on my iTeach blogging blog. I like the fact that it really helps me a lot with my focus keyword density. So what that means is I can choose what is the main focus keyword of this blog post. And then Yoast will help me figure out, do I have it in all the right places? Do I have it in my title? Do I have it in my meta title? How many times do I have it in the blog post itself? I find this to be extremely useful, and I think you will too. This is just a short list of the Yoast benefits, but let me tell you the most important and the best benefit is that it is a free WordPress plugin. So I highly recommend free. So now let's get down to it. In today's podcast, we're going to talk about my life in the day of a blogger and just a little bit about how I get things done. In researching my own life, it turns out that I can accomplish about 3 big goals in a day. It is possible to accomplish some little miniature goals along with the 3 big mamas, but it's probably pushing it in all honesty. Just 3 things. So my advice to you as a human is to winnow down that to-do list so that you can say you got 3 things done today and not half-baked 7 things, just 3. Whatever your number is, start looking at your life and looking at your accomplishments on a daily basis and saying, these are the things that I can get done. So considering that I own several companies and I'm a blogger and a speaker and I'm doing this podcast, I really have to think about what are my big 3 every single day. Because I'm not just a blogger. I'm a small business owner too. I'm a developer. I speak. On any given day, I have so much more to do. And that does not even consider the more human side of me, my personal life. So here we go. This is just a little bit about my process. Above all things, I want to blog. So when I wake up in the morning, I have to remind myself first that I have to write a blog post today. While it's my passion, I still have to prioritize. So in my featured day, here were my 3 big goals. Write a blog post, of course, right? Number 1, make progress on a client's website and learn some new software. So what does it take to write a blog post? For me, my process is something along these lines. I have to research the topic because I can't just randomly have a blog post in my idea. Now, I'd like to say something about researching the topic here. A lot of times, researching the topic is just thinking through all of the things that I have naturally read and studied and maybe going through a mental list. So while I'm getting ready for the morning, I'm brushing my teeth, I'm showering, I'm eating my breakfast, assuming that I actually take the time to eat some damn breakfast. I'm going through and just thinking sometimes can be my research times. I do spend a lot of time reading and researching the things that I bring to everyone, processes, procedure, other people's ideas. So that's my research, but it still has to be done because I wasn't just born with an idea of how to do these things. The next thing I have to do is load the blog post. That's, of course, assuming that I've written it. I've already written the blog post. I've done my research. Now I got to load the darn thing, which I think is funny to think about. I don't tend to write my blog post inside of WordPress. I tend to write it in Evernote, and I'll get to that in a minute. And then once I've loaded the blog post, I still have to find an image because image is king here. You have to have some kind of image or video or both inside of your blog post. People really crave that. It helps them relate. So you've got to find the right image. Like when I was doing my podcast series about how to get blogging stupid fast, I wanted to find images that related to speed, but in a human kind of way. So you need to find the right image for your blog post. And I'll say this too here while I'm here on this topic, because images are something I'm fairly passionate about. Make sure that your image, if it's free, make sure it's truly, truly free, because there's nothing worse than finding out that you used somebody else's image and then getting sued and charged and still have to take the image down. It's just a lot of trouble. So I recommend paying for your images, but if you have images, take them yourself. That's the best solution. But customize your images a little bit too when you have the opportunity. Just a stock image is not nearly as powerful as an image with a little bit of information to add to it. So therefore, the next step, of course, once I find the image, is to edit the image. I also try to put my logo on all of the images. I just think that studies have shown that people click on images with logos on them a little bit more often. So that is one of my tips to you in this arena as well. The next step here is to SEO your blog post. This means that you should have already done your keyword research before you wrote the blog post. At this point, you're doing things like filling out your meta title, your meta description, your meta keywords. Some people say you don't have to do that anymore, but I say, why wouldn't you? Put out make sure you fill out your category. Make sure you fill out your tags. Then, of course, the next thing that you have to do is reread your blog post. That's quite important because it's amazing what you'll miss if you don't. When you do go back and read it, if you read it when it's live, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I forgot an important point, or maybe I just said something completely stupid or left something important out. You never know. But that's the next thing. And then, of course, send your blog post for edit. I'm fortunate enough that I have someone that edits for me. I hope you do too. If you don't have an editor, my recommendation is that you find a blogging buddy and you guys swap off reading each other's blog post. It makes such a difference. And then, of course, release the blog post. Now, this is just an abbreviated version of my summary of what I do to get my writing done. But as you can see, there's more than meets the eye to writing a blog post, quote unquote, writing a blog post. At this stage of my blogging career, anyways. So, just to recap, this podcast is about getting 3 things done in one day, so I thought I would go ahead and walk through my entire day of when I wrote this particular blog post. The next thing that I have to do is work on a client's website. This is second because my clients are incredibly important to me, and this can lead down an interesting rabbit trail for the day. Making my clients second forces me to get item number 1 done, because this part of my day, this second item, gets about 70% of my day. So if you can imagine, that means that I have to get this blog writing process done pretty quick, so I can spend the rest of my day focused on my client project. I do not believe in multitasking, and so once I settle on a project, I am in. I have to get that done and give it the time that I have allotted. On this day, I had to make a few changes to our website, so we were the client. My company was the client. My one small project, I just upgraded my computer to the new OS, and along with it came an anticipated change to the video software, iMovie. I use iMovie all the time. Considering that I use it for client projects, it was crucial that I learn the new bells and whistles for this software. I had a client coming in to film a video, and I had to be able to edit it for them, so it was important that I learned the software. So that was actually my project for the day. And then there was after hours. I was going to a massive networking event. This meant that after hours for me was from 7:30 to 8, and that's when I tend to stop working in the evenings. However, on this particular day, the networking event started at 5, and that's early for me. That's like calling the end of my day at 5. That's nuts. But to be fair, I generally don't get started till about 9:30, so I like to sleep in. So that was shocking how many people came to this event, by the way, but considering it was what I would consider the middle of the day, which is 5. So you may be asking, what is your freaking point, Renee? Well, the point is that if blogging is important to your business or important to you, you have to prioritize, especially if you're like me and you find writing hard, because I do. Even if you find writing frightening, then if you keep putting things in front of it, it won't get done. For me, writing is a bit frightening. And even though I love it, that is why I put it first. I put it right before the most important part of my day, connecting with my clients, because it forces me to not lag behind. So I'm kind of curious. I'd love to hear some comments back from you. I haven't really asked about this in the podcast yet, but when do you blog? What is your blogging schedule? And what are your 3 things for the day? Or do you find that you can get 5? I would love to hear from you. Thank you for listening to iteachblogging.com blogcast with me, Renee Groskreutz. Visit iteachblogging.com/show notes. I will have the PDF download for you at that link, along with useful links that we talked about today. Go forth and blog.